What's up, guys? Max here, and welcome back to Injustice: The Online Warrior. Interesting precedent for Injustice. In this Online Warrior episode, we're going to be talking about the biggest tournament in fighting game history, EVO 2013, and for some of you guys that don't follow all of the other Capcom fighting games that I've kind of covered over the past few years, and you might be new to Injustice, or it's like your first fighting game, EVO, or Evolution 2013, is the biggest fighting game tournament of all time. Only reason that being is that from every single year and the year before, it just seems to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and Injustice is one of the new premier games that is showing up at EVO this year, and it's going to be taking place this Friday all the way until Sunday, and I'm pretty sure Injustice is actually taking place on Saturday, if you're looking to watch some of that pool play action. So, man, Injustice, it's been an interesting past couple of weeks or so. The game has definitely taken kind of a crazy turn, and I think the developers are kind of at a standstill. We talked about the recent balance adjustments and all the crazy stuff that's happening as far as patching Injustice. A lot of characters were getting a lot of adjustments, some things really good, some things kind of weird, and some things kind of bad depending on which character you're playing, like Scorpion. But what's funny is that there's been a huge amount of discussion, just this huge amount of discussion around Scorpion about whether or not he should be banned and things like that. And I'm actually not too sure the final EVO decision on Scorpion, but he was banned at the latest tournament that was before EVO, being CEO, which was taking place in Florida, hosted by Jabali. He was actually banned at that tournament. I'm pretty sure he's banned at VXG, which is the next huge tournament after EVO. So it's kind of hard to say. I'm not too sure where it stands with the EVO tournament staff, or if they've come out with an official statement, but I think he might actually be banned. What's funny about that is that EVO will be running on the latest download patch, the latest adjusted patch for the Injustice characters. So that means that Scorpion's going to be the heavily nerfed version. He's not going to have nearly as fast as a teleport, a lot of his stuff isn't going to be safe anymore, and things like that. If you guys haven't checked, dude, Scorpion got hit pretty freaking hard in comparison to all the rest of the cast. And now this talk of, like, banning the character is going on everywhere, because it kind of breaks the game. What I wanted to talk about was my opinion on this entire fiasco, because I didn't really get to chime in on it when it was happening, before we get into talking about EVO and predictions and what's going to happen to Injustice at EVO. So Scorpion as a character was at the highest level of community scrutiny for quite some time, for like a week and a half straight, because of how freaking good he is, and how many top players and how many even coordinators of events and things like that kind of felt like he broke the game. Now, I couldn't really, like, pull a valid conclusion out of this for myself, because I had not played against many Scorpions. That was my issue. I played as Scorpion, and I found it, yeah, kind of easy to win matches in general, and the Scorpions I was playing against while using Scorpion was a little bit difficult to evaluate that situation, because I can fight back with the same tactics that they could. This is mostly pulling from the week of Scorpion that we had a few weeks ago. So, if you guys didn't get to catch that, you can check back on the videos before, but it went pretty freaking well. I was not that versed with the character up until that point, even in the MK games, and I learned him fairly fast, and he's a pretty freaking easy character to use. Now he's been nerfed to hell, and now he's not really a shadow of the previous character. He can still do a lot of the stuff he could before, it's just not nearly as effective. I think one of the things that kind of makes Scorpion really, really, really terrifying in consideration of banning within tournament aspects is the fact that, especially when it comes to things like online, dude, the guy is just ridiculously hard to fight. I've actually come across a few guys using Scorpion almost exclusively while online playing Injustice, and they feel nigh unbeatable. I think it's a combination of him having this unblockable ground attack and making you think that you have to start blocking in, like, the downward direction to get ready for the cross-up, and then he lights your ass on fire, and all this stuff. He's got way too many options, and he seems almost too damn good. It's like he kind of, I do kind of agree with a lot of what some people are saying. It does feel like he kind of, like, breaks the game, that learning him is kind of learning a whole new game than what you're really used to, you know what I mean? So I don't think Scorpion was deserved to be banned that fast. It's funny because NetherRealm took a really, 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 really fast approach to this character, and dude, that freaking dude was patched within, like, 3 weeks of his release. It's kind of insane. Almost to the point of which I wish they focused a little bit more on General Zod, because General Zod right now, I don't think is that bad of a character, but a lot of his approaches come from lows. Like, a lot of what he needs to make things work out for him as far as, like, his combo damage and stuff like that starts off of a low attack. And he's got some overheads in some of his strings and things like that, but if you know how to fight against Zod, you're always just going to block high after you take a couple of hits and things like that. So He's an interesting character. After the week of, I found him to be like about 60% keep away and about 40% in the other direction, but he's got some glitches about it, and this is what I was talking about in relation to Scorpion. He's got some pretty freaking crazy bugs as far as his trait, which is really annoying right now, and I honestly really wish they didn't focus as much on like this immediate hardcore nerfing of Scorpion ASAP and kind of like added some things to Zod to make him work a little bit better. But it looks like it's already in the works. Zod is getting a patch very soon. Let me know what you guys think of Zod as a character. I don't think he's as good as the other two DLC characters that have recently been released. In my opinion, it goes like this. As far as the DLC characters that have been released for Injustice so far, number 1 is absolutely Scorpion. He's probably easily the best of all of them. Number 2 is Batgirl, number 3 is Zod, and number 4 is Lobo. I think that's it for the DLC right now. We're actually going to be getting a pretty big announcement from Ed Boon and NetherRealm Studios at EVO this year, and I think it's actually also taking place on Sunday, which the finals are, and they're going to be announcing the next season, like the next season of DLC that they're planning for Injustice and what characters might be considered and things like that. I almost guarantee you Martian Manhunter is a part of that, but we'll see how it goes, and it's I'm looking forward to it. Maybe do some coverage on it as soon as I get back, and if there's a trailer or something like that, you can expect that on this channel as soon as I possibly can. So I'm looking forward to it. I thought the DLC combination of characters that they released was pretty good. I thought Scorpion might not have deserved the banhammer so far, but the thing is like, what I find interesting about nerfing this character so fast and this character getting banned so fast, it's because so many people have access to him and so many people have access to so many other people's opinions that it seems like you have a really quick access and entry to learn about people's discretions. So the developers take this to heart really fast because they see this huge influx of complaints about a character, and their immediate response is kind of like, well, we should fix this as soon as we possibly can, therefore Scorpion gets nerfed to hell. This wasn't the case back in the day, but I try to put myself in the shoes of back in the day of fighting games. Like, if there was a character that was busted in a fighting game back in the day, you had to freaking deal with it, man. If you liked that fighting game, you had to deal with finding a way around that character, and that's just the way it went. And if those characters ended up being really powerful, then yeah, that's kind of how it goes. Chun-Li's really good in Third Strike. Yoon is really good in Third Strike. Ken is really good in Third Strike. Nothing's ever going to change that, and you almost saw those characters at the top of high-level competition exclusively. And that was the nature of fighting games back in the day for the most part. Now, what I find interesting is that if we put our current-day developers in the shoes of developers back in the day, would they make the same choices? Like, if you were a developer that actually had access and ability to just update your arcade game or update your fighting game on whatever console through the means of a patch that you can just distribute easily, or through like a company or something like that, would they have patched, like, you know, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3? Would they have patched Marvel vs. Capcom 2? Would they have patched Third Strike to nerf some characters or buff some characters way back in the day? And in my opinion, I think the answer to that is a resounding yes. The reason being is that you saw updates to fighting games extremely frequently back in the day. Like, you might not have realized it, but certain fighting games like Mortal Kombat's and Killer Instinct and Street Fighters had versions to them. Versions that weren't just like, you know, Street Fighter 3 to Double Impact or Mortal Kombat 3 to Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. They actually had unique identified numbered versions like UMK3 1.5, or I actually don't know what the chronological like terms are for those games, but they had things like that. And those 1.5 versions, or those like little minuscule upgrades, were doing crazy things to the fighting game mechanics and adjusting certain things that made the game actually work and things like that. I actually know of a pretty big one with Killer Instinct, the original, and Killer Instinct version 1.5, and it was like they added all this crazy stuff with overheads, and I don't know the exact list of things, but it was pretty big, the amount of stuff that they actually changed with a version update. And I think that what NetherRealms is doing with quickly patching and like hotfixing the hell out of their game is maybe a good thing. It's hard to say because I grew up in a time where you had to deal with it. You had to deal with it and fight your way through it, but I think that if given the opportunity, they would have done the exact same thing because most developers kind of were doing that thing back in the day. Like Street Fighter Alpha 2 had Street Fighter Alpha 2 Gold, which changed a lot of the way like meter worked in that game and things like that. Like, it happened. It was happening this way, and there wasn't, like, huge adjustments to the roster. It was just minor tweaks and adjustments to certain character moves and the combat engine. And that's really what's happening to Injustice right now. What I found shocking was was something that I can now report on after having a little bit of experience with, was the universal buff to every character's down 2. For you guys that don't know, down 2 is kind of like the classic Mortal Kombat move, the Mortal Kombat uppercut, which you remember from old MKs and even MK9 and things like that. In Injustice, the new down 2 is almost a universal anti-air for the majority of characters. And some characters, it's really good. Like, I think Green Lantern is now a definite in favor battle in his favor against a character like Batman, because Batman can no longer jump over to him. Like Batman's Jump 2, which is an amazing cross-up, probably the best one in the game. You can't just freely throw that out anymore because Green Lantern can actually down to you. It trades in Green Lantern's favor because it leaves Batman in a juggle state, and you get a full 30 to 35% Green Lantern combo off of that. Maybe not 35, maybe more along the lines of 30%, because down 2s or the uppercuts actually scale the damage of your combos a lot. And for you guys that don't know what scaling the damage means, it literally means if you normally have a combo, it's going to do pretty good damage, but if you put a down 2 or a down medium into any of your combo parts, it's going to make the damage not do nearly as much. It's just one of those things like that it does. That's just the way it goes. If you add a down 2 into a combo, the end of the combo will just not do as much damage for you guys that might have trouble understanding this. And this got universally buffed for most of the cast, so what that means is that you might start off a combo with a down 2, but you're not going to get that much more damage as a result of it. It's going to end up doing pretty good damage, like 20-25%, but it's not going to be a game-changing thing as far as you doing a ridiculous boatload of damage off of an anti-air. But that's what it ends up being. It ends up being a more reliable anti-air for a lot of characters that have really effective down 2s. And I've noticed it really for General Zod. I noticed it a lot for Barbara, Batgirl. Superman's is really good now. Green Lantern's is really good now. And it's pretty freaking amazing how that's going to be a kind of a giant change to the game. And now it's going to be a lot more difficult to get in on your other character because you're going to be afraid of jumping. It's going to be much more difficult to get in on a guy because you can just down to them and just knock them out, and you're going to get a trade that'll most likely be in your favor, or it's going to go completely in your favor and you can still get a follow-up combo. It's going to change the game kind of significantly in the long run once people understand how to effectively use it during anti-airs and things like that. And I think we're definitely going to see that at EVO. So moving into what's going to happen at EVO with some of my predictions, there was an extremely proficient Superman player that was playing at CEO that was just using Superman in a way that I had never seen before. I think he did make it into top 8 at CEO, and his name escapes me at the moment, which I'm hating myself for right now. But if you check out CEO and you look in the top finals and then the grand finals and around the top 8, you'll see a Superman player that is really freaking good. I'm sure you guys in the comments will correct me on this, but doing some insane mix-ups, some resets and things, and damage that you would just blow your mind. There was a big reason I was talking about Superman in the last episode of The Online Warrior, and now I think there's kind of not really a conspiracy, but it's a conspiracy to make Superman really good because he is just awkwardly good, just ridiculously awkwardly good in this game, and they just do not adjust the things that people think he needs adjusting. And he's actually been quote-unquote normalized, which is technically nerfed. That's the term that they're using now, is normalizing a character. They nerfed Superman and a lot of the stuff he does, and he's still freaking ridiculous. Dude can still get nearly 65% damage in the corner. It's just nuts. It's just ball-bustingly crazy. And I don't know if any other character has the ability to do that within a single combo. And Superman's ease of access and usability is still pretty freaking easy in comparison to the rest of the cast. What I do actually predict is certain players like Chris G, who uses Green Arrow in a really specific way, doing really good. I think Rio might actually do really well using a variety of characters, and he's the guy that used Batman quite a bit before. So, we'll see. What I really want to see is somebody using one of the woodwork characters, one of the characters that isn't extremely proficient with zoning. I would love to see someone using the Flash, because the Flash got a lot better over the past update, and I really need to get back into using the Flash. I would love to see somebody using Batgirl, extremely well and teaching me some things about that character. That's the stuff I'm really excited for EVO, because when it comes to EVO, you're going to see new things. New things are going to pop up, new things are going to happen, and you're going to see people using characters that you might not have seen all the time before. I think Injustice is actually going to get its own dedicated stream on a different stream other than the main one, so there will be definitely a lot of Injustice coverage at EVO. And you better believe, man, I'm going to be paying attention to that stuff, especially because with a new fighting game in its first huge, like world-class scale tournament, even though Injustice has been in quite a few majors before with world-class scale players, it's going to get a little crazy, man. I really want to see what some outside the US competition can do when it comes to Injustice in this game, because I like Injustice. I've grown to like this game a lot more than I thought I would. And now I just want to see some crazy stuff. I really want to see some insane technology that we might not have seen before. Because that's the stuff that's going to keep the community going, is like the constant discovery of new things. Just like a game like Ultimate Marvel 3. It was the constant discovery of new things, albeit maybe not for the intentional of the design of the game, it was definitely happening at an alarming rate. And even though Injustice is kind of like evened out now, and in my opinion the game mostly is favoring not as much a keep away style, but more of a rushdown, reset, and mix-up and vortex style, which I actually prefer a little bit more, makes it more entertaining to watch, then that's totally fine. If we're gonna get exposed to that kind of level of play, then let's rock and roll. But I would not be surprised if the majority of stuff that goes down in the top 8 of Injustice is actually a lot of zoning and keep away game. And for you guys that don't understand why that exists in this game, it's because the screen length is very big, and I've explained this many times before. The screen length between characters when they back all the way to the left and the right-hand side of the screen, it gets freaking huge, man. It's really big, and it's almost a little too big, so it encourages a lot of keep-away play with projectiles because it's hard for you to get in on that much space. We'll see how much that space takes into account at EVO this year, and I think EVO is going to be a really big telling for how Injustice is going to stay in everybody's spotlight, because the game did perform really well sales-wise, but as far as it staying in the competitive spotlight, we'll find out, man. EVO's going to be very interesting, so stay tuned, guys. EVO's happening this weekend. I'll be back after EVO with a follow-up of my top hype moments. Hopefully Injustice will be included with some of those hype moments. I definitely want it to be, because I'm looking forward to something really cool. And I'll be hosting a panel at EVO on Friday at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, talking about the Online Warrior series, Assist Me coming up with Season 3, and generally doing a whole bunch of Q&A, answering questions from dudes like you about the future of productions and anything like that. And finally, before I go off to EVO into the Las Vegas, Nevada searing desert, check out the first official Online Warrior / Assist Me t-shirt that is now finally available at 86clothing.com, and it is the classic Doomeckis t-shirt, redesigned, remastered, and ready for you to take advantage of that 150% Doom Equis factor. My name is Max, and I'll see you guys after EVO.